Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the mysterious mass. When a mysterious mass washed up on shore in Indonesia, people had a lot of questions. At first, it was rumored to be the corpse of an enormous squid, which, to be fair, really would be quite the sight. Locals were flocking to the area to get a glimpse at this washed-up creature, which is said to have been the size of a shipping container. After more examination was done by experts, they got to the bottom of what this creature really was, and it was no squid. No, instead, this creature was actually a whale, a sperm whale to be more specific. Indonesia's Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries explained why this creature looked so far from itself when they explained the gruesome decomposition process. They said, quote, "With sperm whales, when they decay, the intestines will come out through the bottom of the throat, which is striped like a pumpkin, and they become curved." So that's gross, but at least it gives us answers to this long-time mystery. In our number 9 spot today, we have double trouble. Over in the Netherlands, this is a discovery that, when it occurred, it shocked all of those who were there to see it. 2 fishermen were the ones that stumbled upon this, and at first, they thought they were seeing double. That is because what they found was actually a 2-headed porpoise. Of course, further research was done on this animal because the fishermen knew it was rare, but I don't think they knew just how rare it really was. Experts would go on to later confirm that this was the first case of conjoined twin porpoises ever discovered. In fact, it's so shocking that this happened because it's only the 10th known within the group of sea mammals that they belong to, which is a group that includes whales and dolphins. It truly was quite a remarkable discovery, albeit probably a bit shocking when it first happened. In our number 8 spot today, we have jellyfish. Back in 2017, there was a mega swarm of giant barrel jellyfish that ended up washed along the Welsh coastline. Like, I'm talking about thousands of them, and these creatures can be quite large as well, growing to be about 35 inches in diameter. Many experts were shocked and had explained that they had never seen this many, especially this large, before, so it was truly quite the sight to see. Experts explained that the unseasonably warm weather that was seen at the time likely boosted their numbers, and this may explain the mass quantity of them. In terms of how they ended up there, well, they were probably caught up while attempting to migrate. In our number 7 spot today, we have the sea snake. Okay, so rather than after disaster, these creatures kept showing up before disaster, and it had many people thinking that perhaps they were some sort of omen, and I can totally understand why. In the Philippines, before devastating earthquakes would appear, there would be these 10-foot-long creatures being referred to as sea serpents that would be found washing up on the beaches. Listen, if I found a weird, huge sea snake a bunch of times before something bad happened, I would also 100% think that it had some sort of omen. It turns out that these were just oarfish, and no, they're not an omen, and no, they can't predict earthquakes or other natural disasters. In our number 6 spot today, we have isopods. Okay, so you know pill bugs or potato bugs or roly-polies, whatever you want to call them. You know, the gross little bugs? Well, what if I told you that there's a sea creature that looks like them? And then what if I told you that sometimes this sea version grows to be like the size of a puppy? Yeah, a little unnerving and very disgusting, right? These things are actually isopods, and while most don't grow to be that large, one of the largest on record was found washed up in Indonesia. It has been nicknamed giant for obvious reasons and was measured to be about 13 inches long. This discovery, while disgusting, also proved to be quite remarkable as it was the first giant isopod to be found in over a decade. In our number 5 spot today, we have the octopus anomaly. When this creature was found, it almost became someone's meal until its anomaly was realized. It was an octopus, but instead of 8 arms, this one had 9. That's like a Novemopus now. Of course, this led to the question, how does an octopus grow 9 arms? Well, that has to do with their ability to regrow limbs. Like how lizards can regrow tails, octopuses have the ability to regenerate their own arms, but sometimes this process goes a little wonky. It's likely that this octopus at some point had to regrow their arm, and while that was happening, this new arm just sprouted another new one, thus the 9-armed octopus was born. Apparently, these sorts of things can happen over and over again to just one octopus. According to a 1965 study, it is said that this once gave an octopus 90 different arms. So, that's a lot. In our number 4 spot today, we have this unidentified creature. This creature was found on shore after the devastating 2011 tsunami that hit Japan. A survivor of this disaster was the one who found this strange creature, and while at first, from a bit of a distance, it appeared as though it could be like a small whale or something like that. From close up, it appeared more like a boulder or a large rock, leaving people completely baffled. In the end, especially because all of the work that experts needed to turn their focus to during this time, whatever was seen by this person wasn't fully looked into, so what it ended up being remains a bit of a mystery. There's a video of the entire ordeal so that you can get a little bit of a closer look. In our number 3 spot today, we have the slickhead. This is the discovery that actually ended up being the moment an entire new species was discovered. Found in Japan, researchers were thrilled when they saw this colossal sea monster and realized that despite the heavily fished area that it came from, no one had ever found this fish before. The fish belonged to a family of fish known as slickheads, which are known for their scale-free heads and gill covers. But unlike other much smaller members of its family, this new find was a beast. The previously known members of this family usually grew to be about 14 inches in length, but this one was a massive 55 inches long and 55 pounds heavy. Another thing about this fish that made it different from its other family members is that while slickheads are usually known for eating plankton and weak swimmers such as jellyfish, this new huge guy had evidence that showed he hunted other fish and was actually quite the predator. Despite this guy and his massive, terrifying look, it was definitely an exciting day for those getting to research this newfound fish. In our number 2 spot today, we have a long journey. After the devastating Japan tsunami that occurred in 2011, for years after, the oceans saw repercussions. Of course, this was also a disaster that carried over to land. Many people died, many homes and businesses were destroyed. I'm not trying to minimize or disregard the impact this tsunami had on humans. This is just a list of creatures, so that's what we're focusing on today. So basically, years after the tsunami, a whole slew of strange creatures started washing up on the shores of the Pacific Northwest and California. Some of these new creatures were even clinging to plastic debris that had been swept out to sea in the disaster. These creatures would continue to arrive year after year. We're talking shellfish, crustaceans, marine worms, sea stars, sponges, and even fish. What was alarming is that they were alive, and while that is great, some of these species are invasive and can totally throw off an entire ecosystem. It truly has been quite a time for research to see how this happened and how it affects both the animals themselves and the new area that they've been washed ashore to. In our number 1 spot today, we have the sea monster. Back in March of 2012, the nightmarish sea monster washed up on South Carolina shores and had people completely confused and stunned. People had truly no idea what it was, and the theories of course started swirling. Many people believed it was some sort of never before discovered sea monster, and honestly, I do not blame them. This thing looked weird, creepy, and I would have had no other guesses. It honestly looked like it could have been from Jurassic Park, but in the end, thankfully there are many people out there who know much more than I do, and experts were able to take the wheel and get to the bottom of this mystery. In the end, a local veterinarian was able to determine that this washed up creature was in fact the corpse of a sturgeon that was covered in scut. The reason everyone thought it was a monster is because sturgeons are huge, growing to be 800 pounds and up to 15 feet in length.
Kicking off the list at number 10. Mystery spider. Yeah, for this first one, we're not even sure what kind of spider it is. How calming is that? Let's do it. Some kind of spider is making what's referred to as silkhenge. Yeah, this piece of spider art was first discovered back in 2013 by Troy Alexander, who posted a photo of it on the internet, asking for help in identifying what exactly he's looking at, but no one could help identify it because it's a totally unknown phenomenon. These structures are created by spiders or some sort of spider to help with reproduction because they're protecting their eggs. It looks quite alien, but this is all just to protect little baby spiders in that middle tip. There's one main spire that's constructed of spider silk, and that's where the eggs are contained, and then surrounding that spire is a sort of a circular fence that is also made of spider silk. Similar appearance to Stonehenge, hence the name Silkhenge. But to this day, we haven't found much. This was discovered back in 2013, and only a year ago, we got more information. Tropical science communicator Phil Torres recently visited Peru, and he got footage in 4K. It's beautiful. We no longer have to slide through the same 3 grainy photos. Check this out. Torres explains how this research has affected his well-being, obviously. He said it's the thing that keeps him up at night because it's so annoyingly hard to find. Despite having seen it in so many places he goes, the next time it's like it was never there at all. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's also tiny too. In this recent clip, it's beautiful. Again, high definition. You can really see how intricate the work is, is, but Torres also discovered that these things are tiny and they come in clusters. So if you find one, there's probably a few nearby. Also, don't destroy it. We still have no idea who or what's making these silk henges, so take some photos, hang out a bit, do some research. Number 9, the Brazilian wandering spider. Its bite can give you an erection that lasts for hours. That's a real fact, and that's how I'm gonna start this point here. This animal is dangerous. Its bite, of course, will hurt you. You'll be sweating, blood pressure will increase, hence that side effect. They're more commonly known as banana spiders, so guess I can't eat bananas anymore. There goes my favorite snack. These little guys have been listed as the world's most venomous spider in a handful of years in the Guinness Book of World Records. We love records, record-breaking spiders. If its name didn't already tip you off, these things can be found in Brazil. There's 8 different kinds of wandering spiders. Avoid them all. That's my advice here on MA10. That's it. How does that sound? Boom. Science is quite interesting here. They're trying to create the next Viagra using the spider's venom. That's why I started with that wild side effect. There's always a point to it. I'm not just being silly all the time. The future is here, friends, and apparently it's filled with spiders. Just cuts to a bunch of old dudes in the woods just hanging out like, please. Number 8. Bullet ants. They're called bullet ants because their bite feels like a bullet wound. Promising start. Awesome. They're also referred to as the Paraponera clavata, but that sounds like a dark curse in Harry Potter, so we're gonna call them the bullet ant for now. They're commonly found in tropical rainforests in Central and South America. Their sting is considered, the most powerful in the world, hence the bullet thing, and its effects can last 24 hours. Yeah, another fun nickname for them is a 24-hour ant. They're also the world's largest ant, so you can really see it coming. You should see it coming, worst case scenario. These guys get you in a colony though, game over. There's a good chance you won't even survive at all. One bite is bad enough, let alone a colony. Its venom's so powerful, it's being studied right now for its use as a pesticide. Yeah, we're sacrificing ants to further our research on how to sacrifice ants. This is dark. That sounds pretty dark when you say it like that. There's actually an indigenous Amazonian tribe in Brazil, and they use bullet ant stings as part of a ceremonial process to become a warrior. I would not pass. I wouldn't even make it to the island. I'm not good with bugs. They have to keep a straight face the entire time whilst getting bit. That's so impressive. Number 7, dart frog. You may be thinking, thank God, a frog, something cute, something unlike the bullet ant. Guess again, not this time. Small but mighty, the poison dart frog is one of the deadliest animals on Earth. I left the word poison out of the title. I juked you out, I did it on purpose. Its shiny yellow skin will certainly attract the eye, but if you decide to try and, catch one of these slippery boys, its poison can kill 10 fully grown adults. All bad. Indigenous hunters figured this out and they coated the tips of their arrows or darts in this toxin. The toxin created naturally here is called batrachotoxin. Another creature we've mentioned on this channel before that also has the same toxin is the pitui bird. That's in Australia though, it's far away. Either way, a lot of poison moving around us in nature. It's actually pretty alarming. Birds and frogs, I'm just gonna stay home. I'm just gonna stay home and do this all day. Number 6, mosquitoes. These guys suck, no matter where you are, but when it comes to the Amazon, like everything else, it's much worse than you could ever imagine. Mosquitoes are one of the most dangerous because they can fly, and you don't see them coming. And once they get you, the damage has already been done. They're just full of blood. How gross is that? They're horrible. If you travel to parts of the Amazon rainforest and you don't have yellow fever vaccinations or extremely strong mosquito repellent, you're gonna have a bad time. These suckers are clouds of malaria just waiting for you to walk into by accident. And then you go, oh, and it's too late. Number 5, decoy spider. Oh, these are all horrible. These decoy building spiders are exceptionally small, but super smart. These spiders only measure to be about 5 millimeters in length, but you might see a much larger spider hanging out in a web that they've created. See, this might sound scary, but this large spider is actually a fake spider. It's a decoy. It's a decoy spider that the small spider built out of various materials like food scraps, debris, even their old skin to make a bigger, scarier spider. That's horrible. I wish I didn't know this. Look, art is subjective, okay, that's for sure. I don't think this is the most lovely piece of animal art on the planet, but it works. It gets the job done. A rather impressive defense mechanism for such a tiny little dude. These spiders were only discovered pretty recently, so again, not much is known about them, as there still needs to be tons of research done, just like the other horrible spider on this list. It is, however, believed that this is a feature that has evolved in this particular spider, so it's possible we've only recently discovered it because it's a new feature. Yeah, how neat is that? Hey, spiders are learning new tricks. Hit that thumbs up. I'm so scared. Cheers. Number 4, the electric eel. First of all, never rub an electric eel like they're a genie lamp. you're gonna want 3 more wishes if you do that, my friend. That was the moray eel. That one can bite your fingers off, which is horrible, but you should never touch an eel in the first place because a lot of them are electric. As its name hints towards, these type of eels can mess you up even if you weren't to get the first hit. Specifically, the newly discovered 2.5 meter Electrophorus volti. Yeah, the Electrophorus volti. No, that's not a new hybrid car coming out on the market. This is a dangerous beast. It was appropriately named after Alessandro Volta, aka the guy who invented the battery, and it can release a shock up to 860 volts, more than 7 times the voltage of your average wall plug. It was recently discovered only a year ago that electric eels in Amazon rivers like to travel in packs. They like to travel with their friends and they all head to the bar together. How fun is that? Packs of electric water snakes. Does it get worse than that? It can't get worse than that, can it? Number 3, black caiman. It can get worse than that. It can get a lot worse than that. If you're not a fan of alligators, you might want to skip to the next one. Black caiman is the largest family member in the Alligator Day crew. These super alligators live in calm, slow moving rivers, places you wouldn't expect, a dinosaur to be and jump out at you, essentially. Just like dangerous river snakes, one I might talk about later, these black caiman will take it slow and just wait for their prey to have a sip of water. And then at that point, the largest predator in the Amazon will grab its lunch and quickly return to the water, just like that. Be very loud and very fast. This thing eats birds, it eats reptiles, mammals even. Yeah. This thing can and will eat everything. Between 2008 and 2013 alone, there were 43 black caiman attacks on people. Yeah, a handful of these attacks were fatal. I'll leave it at that. Number 2, pink dolphins. We'll do a nice one before we do the horrible big bad number 1. Deal? Deal. Pink dolphins of the Amazon River. They're the largest of all river dolphins, and adults, more often than not, males end up turning pink as they age, and we have no idea why. Scientists aren't exactly sure why these guys are pink or why the color comes later in life, seeing as, they're born gray. Our leading theory here is that the color is brought on by scar tissue that results from fighting with other dolphins or predators. I'm sure it's not an easy go, swimming through schools of electric eels and all that jazz, so yeah, fair, it could be a pretty rough environment. Some old legends hilariously mention that pink dolphins maybe can turn into a handsome man in the evenings, and then during this time they would hypnotize and seduce young women before turning back into dolphins again near sunrise. Yeah, forget Morbius. I want to see that movie. That's a supervillain origin story I would pay to see. The pink dolphin handsome man. He has one day to find love, and then he turns back into a dolphin. Number 1, green anacondas. Of course, we have to talk about the anaconda, specifically the green anaconda. It's green like the Hulk, because it's always angry and scary and violent. This movie came out 25 years ago. I remember watching Anaconda with my family, and it made me extremely afraid of snakes, actually. This was probably the one that did it. So how accurate was that film? Although the green anaconda is a non-venomous snake, the boa constrictor is still one of the most dangerous ever. It's the most feared, definitely the most feared. Green anacondas live in calm marshes or slow streams, and again, they wait until their large prey gets thirsty, and once they come to the water, the anaconda suffocates and wraps around its lunch. Yeah. Anacondas hunt prey that's larger than us humans, so if they wanted to, they could for sure eat us. There's only no evidence of it happening because humans rarely interact with them in general, so anacondas probably don't know they could eat us. Green anacondas can reach lengths of up to 30 feet, so plenty of space for you and yours. Awesome. You and yours. He ends it on a voice crack. That's great. That's how scared I am of this anaconda. Kicking off the list at number 10, ice worms. Yeah, ice worms. Need I say any more right there? Ice worms, that's terrifying by themselves. I'm dodging these suckers all spring. Now I gotta worry about winter too. Get out of town. I'm Canadian. We don't need ice worms. Come on, we have ice in general. That's bad enough. The only time a worm lives its life in glacial ice is in, you guessed it, Alaska. Yeah, all these things are in Alaska, in case you didn't already know that. All my life I've seen worms shrivel up and fade away on the sidewalk. They just evaporate, it's so horrible. But I've never even seen a worm near ice. Is that even possible? Apparently so. They're supposed to run out of fuel and die off, but ice worms are like the Energizer Bunny. These things just keep going, even if they're frozen. Little Captain America worms. Should that icy temperature rise, however, above freezing, well, that's when it becomes slower and dies off the way that we see every worm go. Just in a horrible, gross way. Honestly, these things are super cool. I'm not a fan of worms, obviously, but scientifically, these guys are so alien. They're pretty cool. I had to kick off the list with them. Teach me your ways. I'm always so cold. Again, hate Canada. I'm just kidding, it's fine. Number 9, banana slugs. This one's pretty gross too, I'm not gonna lie. Get the gross ones out of the way right off the hop. Banana slugs get their name because of their yellow color. They are not yummy. They have nothing to do with bananas. They do not taste like bananas at all. Nothing like banana medicine. That one's pretty close. They're also quite large, these slugs, but the thing that really sets them apart here is that they have a single lung that's exposed. I know. As I said that, you probably went, ugh. Yeah, it's horrible. It's one of the worst things I've read. Alaskan banana slugs are dark green, so even creepier, dare I say, than the average. And these slugs need to stay wet at all times. I wanted to say that they stay, you know, something that starts with the letter M, but we don't like that word, apparently. This word would have been perfect for said organism. Moist. There, I said it. These slugs are also hermaphrodites. They have all the reproductive organs needed for the fun. Only after a mating season, they'll kind of Black Widow the other party. Yeah, nature's wild. Olivia, don't eat me. Thanks. Number 8, new whale species. You may be thinking, how does one miss a whale for this long? Aren't they insanely large? Haven't we found them all? I would hope. Well, when a 20-foot long whale washed up on the beach in Alaska, researchers studied it and came to the conclusion that this species of whale, specifically called the Baird's beaked whale, upon further investigation is part of an entirely new species of whale. Yep, we thought we knew what it was. Different. A new whale from 2014, and we didn't even know it for a couple years. This new discovery has darker flesh, and the dorsal fin was bigger and floppier. It was bigger and floppier. Imagine a scientist saying that. Yeah, it's bigger and floppier. They're like, great, heard. The only other whale with the same genetic code that can be studied was found in a nearby high school gymnasium. Yeah, not alive. It was the skeleton. It was just, you know, up there for morale, I guess. Nothing gets the kids going on the beep test than a skeleton above. Just a whale skeleton. Like they were in the Avengers and they just, I don't know. Well, where is this? Alaska? Wild. Next time you talk smack about your high school mascot, make sure it's not a rare fish that's previously undiscovered. Yeah, always take a look. Check yourself, Bradley. Stop making fun of your mascots. My mascot was a dragon. But not like a cool dragon though. He was like a lame dragon. I'll move on. Number 7, needle snout monster. This one comes from around 200 million years ago, so not that new. This fossil had been discovered recently, however. It was discovered back in 2011 on an island just a few feet above sea level, so it was almost pretty close to fading away forever. It looks like an ancient iguana almost. It's a marine reptile thalattosaur. It's a new discovery from that time. This thing was roaming around Alaska 200 million years ago. I used to think humans were born too late. This pointy-nosed dude has changed my mind, my friends. We love science. We love finding things late. It's the only intact thalattosaur fossil ever discovered in North America, which is pretty sweet. Pat Druckenmiller, director of the University of Alaska Museum of the North, sounds like something from Game of Thrones, the Museum of the North. He really thinks this is a fascinating find, and rightfully so. The snout is pointed. It's literally razor sharp. This guy would have been an absolute menace back then. Thank God he's gone. Now instead we have to deal with these guys. Number 6, Nudibranchs. Yes, Nudibranchs. We love saying it. Go tell all your friends, hey, know what I learned about? Nudibranch. Nudibranch. These little things are so strange, I cannot wait to talk about them. These soft gastropod mollusks are too cool for their shell. Yeah, they're so fancy, they're just like, I'll just be naked forever, no problem. They show it all, no shame. They're fancy sea slugs, basically. Their colors have made them the subjects of many nicknames. Obviously, these have been baffling sailors for centuries. There's more to them than you'd think. They can smell and taste through their fingertips. What a feature. I can't tell if I would want this or never ever want this. What's cooking? That's horrible. I would eat things through my hands all the time. Oh my God. I'd steal treats from my friends' backpacks. There's over 3,000 types of these dudes all waiting to be explored on Alaska's ocean floor. If you want to get an up-close look yourself, just know they're quite good at absorbing toxins from predators and then storing them for later on. So tread lightly. Don't be poking anything. Watch out for colorful deep sea spaghetti. Always keep your eye open for deep sea spaghetti. You'll see them coming also. These things are giant and they look like they're from Avatar. You won't miss them. Number 5, a strange catch. When you fish off Alaska's coast, you really never know what you reel in. Sea creatures are already creepy enough, but imagine pulling up this thing. Back in 2019, an angler named Sarah Alford pulled up this alien-looking sea creature. And when she posted her catch online, everybody else was like, great, what is it though? And no one had any idea what this thing was, including herself. Everybody was just as confused as she was. What planet did you catch this thing on? The clip got millions of views, no problem. People were upset in the comments even, saying not to pull him out of the water because he couldn't breathe. But then other comments are like, yeah, but why? What is it? Is it a fish? Does that mean that's a fish? Turns out this thing is a basket star, a species of Shinoderm, AKA sea star. Yeah, it's just a fancy starfish. Yeah, not all starfish look like starfish. Sometimes they look like inside-out aliens. Sometimes they look like haunted bowls of ramen. The more you know. Number 4, pyrosomes. I've said it once and I will say it again. The ocean, the sea, hell, even the lake sometimes Nope, not going in. I'm gonna stay dry forever. It's home to a lot of weird stuff. There's a lot of weird stuff hiding in the water. Starfish that look like they're inside out, jellyfish that age in reverse. It's all truly alien. The more we find, the happier lad I am on the land. Like Pyrosomes, for example. This is straight out of, I don't know, hell? These tropical tube-shaped sea creatures are appearing in the millions near Alaska. Why? Wouldn't you like to know? They began to show up back in 2017 and we're still figuring out what's going on with them. They're these foot-long tubes. They're these glowing sea tubes. They look like deflated sea pickles almost. They're so odd. Just sad sea balloons. Researchers at NOAA's Alaska Fisheries Center are shocked because they've never seen pyrosomes travel this far north before. Where are they going? Why? Why is it becoming a common sighting in Alaskan waters now? These numbers are so high that when fishermen are finding them, they're clogging all their gear up. Yeah, their nets are just layered in this goop. Just jellyfish balloon goop. Nice, we love it. Number 3, the basking shark. Translating to large-nosed sea monster. Nice, for good reason there, I guess. The basking shark is something I hope I never run into at any point in my life. Even in an aquarium, I don't wanna see it. I'll close my eyes and walk through that entire exhibit. I don't wanna look at it. They swim around the surface of the water, first of all, scary, and search for tiny food. They search for plankton. Despite how big and scary their mouths are, their meal is preferably tiny. Basking sharks will go years without seeing one of these. But once we do, we're in luck. Because more often than not, basking sharks will travel in large numbers, and they're found in both the Atlantic and the Pacific. As of 2019, basking sharks were considered endangered thanks to overfishing. Yeah, they have some biological mysteries behind them though. The basking shark mouth is massive and, like I said before, quite scary, but otherwise it's pretty normal. Basking shark females, however, they only have one functioning ovary, and it's always the same every time. It's always on the right side, and we're still not quite sure why. Number 2, red squirrels. Okay, so Olivia told me recently that black squirrels in Toronto, they aren't a thing everywhere. They're not a thing in Regina. But over in Toronto, my whole life I've seen black squirrels everywhere, maybe even more so than a brown squirrel. So this one I had to throw in because I simply don't know anymore. My whole life is now a lie. I could be colorblind for all I know. Because now we got red squirrels over in Alaska. Like red, like mighty red. These things look like Vikings. A common sighting over there. They have these cute white bellies. They look straight out of a fairy tale. That's another thing. Every time you see a squirrel in a book, it's always brown. I can't confidently tell you what color squirrels are anymore. Zebras, I got, that's fine. Zebras, no problem. Squirrels, no clue. The only squirrels I see downtown Toronto look like they just got a buzz cut out of nowhere. They're like losing hair, they have bald spots. I don't know, these squirrels are up to no good. I don't wanna know what's going on. You ever see a squirrel that clearly just got into an altercation and you're like, hey little guy? I can't talk to Toronto squirrels. Squirrels are too scary. Alaskan red squirrels, those are awesome. We like those. Those are probably a bit more gentle. They don't have to dodge taxi cabs. And finally, number 1, the king crab. Okay, I'm not great with spiders. You've seen this, you know this on this channel here. And crabs, in case you're wondering, nope, no better. They're larger and they can swim. 2 more red flags, my friends. Not a big fan of crabs, but the Alaskan king crab, they're honestly pretty impressive. I had to put them at number 1. They're an OG. They have the name Alaskan in their name. You know what I mean? They've made their home. These king crabs can reach up to 5 feet wide. A giant sea spider, great. But instead of 8 legs, they only have 6. But the massive claws that resemble boxing gloves, those don't feel too good on your skin. You want to avoid that. The bizarre thing about these yummy sea creatures with the Alaskan king crab is that their right claw is often way bigger than the left. And that claw is more often than not their weapon. That's their go-to weapon. So they're not right or left-handed. They're just like, oh, what's bigger? This one? Sure. That's how they pick which-handed they are.